Hello, everyone. We're glad that you could join us today for this short video. My name is Joey Yates. I'm the Senior Business Development Director for Accelerated Title, and I'm here today with my colleague Liz Gunnan. Liz is the Director of Account Management and Training here at DealerTrack, and I like to say that she has forgotten more about registration and titling than I have ever learned, so it's great to have her expertise with us today. So over the past several weeks, if you've been watching this video series, we've been talking about the state of the market, how dealers can really drive cash flow, and how to improve efficiencies transitioning from the front office to the back office, and also within the back office itself. As all states are now in various phases of reopening, today we really want to wrap it up by discussing three key challenges that most dealerships are dealing with right now. So first, I'll talk to you about leveraging used car inventory to really get your cash flow moving for your dealership. And then Liz will cover the last two topics today. The second one is getting your back office staff caught up after recent closures and restrictions, especially if you're short staffed. And then finally, we'll talk about extending your front office technology improvements all the way through to the back office to make sure that you're fully taking advantage of the opportunities that digital retailing tools are sending your way. So let's get started. As dealerships regroup over the past few months of shutdowns, it's pretty clear to us as we look at the data that used cars are really leading this recovery. So, a little bit of data. New car sales are still down 23% year over year, but used car sales are only down 3% year over year. So, almost flat to where we were last year. So, if you think about that, a little bit of incremental focus on selling used cars makes a lot of sense in today's environment. Getting that used car inventory moving quickly is really going to be vital for the cash flow the dealerships need. I'll talk in a minute about one of our solutions called Accelerated Title. Accelerated Title essentially helps loans get paid off and helps titles flow through the ecosystem more efficiently. And we have several thousand dealers that are taking advantage of that every day. One of the larger ones, really one of the largest retailers in the country, um, has gone through kind of an interesting path over the last few months. They used to be taking in trade-ins on a very quick basis and very regularly, and they were also buying some cars outright to make sure that they're keeping that sourcing up, so they've got lots of used cars that they can sell. And then there was in March and really kind of the beginning of April, they put that on a pause because they realized that there was so much uncertainty around the demand that you would have for those vehicles. And then, when, of course, we also saw dramatic dips in the wholesale pricing that were coming through the auction lanes. So there are a lot of variables in play, and they just said, we're just going to take a pause and see what happens. And then what we've seen over the last few weeks is they and a lot of their peers are really getting back into the game. So starting to buy those vehicles and really trying to bring in that sourcing because the supply and demand, those dynamics have really shifted. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if we think about consumer sentiment and we think about kind of what's happening in the broader economy, part of the reason that new car sales are down right now, we had supply and we had demand issues really kind of in late March and early April. And now we're running into supply issues in May because the factories have largely been closed for the last 90 days. So you can't sell what you don't have. And if the new cars aren't there, they're not coming into the lots at the same rate, then we've got a supply issue now. And so dealerships are leaning more and more into used cars. The other thing that's factoring in is we obviously had some incredible deals, primarily being driven by the captives with 0% financing for 72, sometimes even 84 months, which is, really unheard of at the levels that we saw in April. Those have actually peeled back a little bit in May and are peeling back a little bit more in June. So we're not driving as much stimulus for people to buy new cars. And I've always said that when people want to buy cars, that's going to drive new car sales. And when they need to buy cars, that's going to drive used car sales. And right now, our consumer sentiment is telling us that people are looking at their purchases and they're delaying those, some by a month, some by 2 months, because there's so much uncertainty in the marketplace. So most of your buyers right now are people that need to buy cars versus people that want to buy them. The other thing that I mentioned very briefly a moment ago is that huge gap that we saw between retail and wholesale pricing in April looks like it's corrected itself in May, and that's going to make trade-ins more attractive to you as you're sourcing inventory to sell on your lots. And we all know that you can make more money selling used cars than you can with new cars. And even the money that you might be making with F&I or with your servicing shop, that all starts with the sale of the vehicle originally. So really critical that you think about those sourcing issues and importantly, make sure that your back office process doesn't strip away the profitability that you have by the sourcing and the actual selling of those vehicles. So if you think about what you can do here, for vehicles that you're taking in on trade, you've got to make sure that you're not letting the waiting period for that title and that loan payoffs slow you down on the remarketing process in general. We think there's an opportunity to reimagine your title process with accelerated title. This is an industry exclusive digital solution, and it provides you with insights, accuracy, and importantly, title release and delivery to your door in as fast as 4 to 6 days. So let me unpack that a little bit. The speed of securing the title and getting that loan paid off when you're dealing with trade-ins is key to reducing your holding costs. So most of the trade-ins that you're taking in are going to have an outstanding loan on them, with the price of metal getting higher and higher over the last several years, and the trend being the loans getting longer and longer. It just stands to reason that you're going to have more trade-ins that have outstanding loans. And our data from our Mannheim sister business tells us that the typical holding costs average about $32 per day for most of the dealers across the country. That's per vehicle on your lot. And so, if you think about that, getting that title in hand so you can retail that vehicle legally in your state, and state laws may vary a little bit, but generally you have to have that title to legally retail the car. That's going to make a huge difference in your holding costs over the life of that vehicle. It's also really going to increase your chances of selling it at the auction if you have a vehicle that you don't want to retail, but rather you're going to take that trade in through the wholesale lanes. We know from our sister business Mannheim that your opportunity to sell that vehicle in the first pass through the lane almost doubles if you have the title in hand. So really critical to get the loan paid off and to get that title in hand. The other thing, simply from a back office perspective, is the ability to get a digital payoff quote and then pay that loan off via an ACH and get that title release. That can really reduce the time that your back office team is spending on the phone, chasing down the details of the vehicle, finding that payoff quote, calling on the lender to find out where the title is. All of that can happen automatically on the DealerTrack Accelerated Title Network. And a little bit of good news, our lenders on the platform have grown by 15 times over the last 4 years. So we've got over 60 lenders that are on now. We started with 4 back in the day, and they represent over 25% of all the titles in the country now. So it's really exciting participation there. The other thing I'll mention, and then I'll pass it over to Liz, is as you're going through the process with accelerated title, you also have an option online to view a digital image of the actual title that's associated with that vehicle you're considering taking in on trade. So there are no more title surprises. You can find out right there and then in the moment whether there's a second person on that loan, if there are any lien holder release issues, things like that. Even though that may only happen to you once out of every 20 or 30 vehicles you're taking in on trade, you all know that one that's been sitting out behind your dealership for the last 90 days is the one that causes most of the problems. So some exciting things that we think we can help there with the accelerated title process. So I'll turn it over to Liz. Liz, you want to take our second point?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. And you make an excellent point. So with COVID-19 limitations and shutdowns, many dealerships are now reopening in new ways and really reimagining things, if you will. And the back office might be short-staffed and operating differently and may even be witnessing a backlog of work piled up, especially in those states where experiencing, DMV had shut down totally, or electronic reg and title wasn't mandatory, or have a limited operation. And unfortunately, we're still seeing some of those DMVs are still totally closed. So the second key to reimagining your back office should be focused around ensuring that your staff is equipped with the tools that they need to do their jobs, and possibly another person's job effectively and efficiently as possible. Since you are short-staffed, providing tools that allow for processing transactions right from the back office with less touch points outside your dealership, such as a runner or to the DMV, ensures that your staff doesn't have to leave at all to stand in line, whether that's literally or figuratively at the DMV. In many states, now that your dealership is open, you'll want to make sure your backlog is cleared as soon as possible so that your back office staff can focus their attention to the cars you're selling now since reopening. Providing a solution that allows for a real streamlined and effective and efficient reg and title process is going to be essential. So what's the solution here? Reimagine registration and titling efficiency with technology that's going to help your back office staff maximize productivity through a faster process. During this time, we've seen DMV shut down completely, but our most successful dealers were able to use all available transaction types to keep processing on behalf of their customers and keep things moving forward. Save time and get more work done by minimizing manual reg and title work with an enhanced digital interface, whether you're selling a vehicle in-state or across state lines. Provide more efficient, accurate, and compliant processing with a powerful workflow management tool. DMS batch import helps to reduce manual entry and data inaccuracies, or I like to call it fat fingering something. We all know that happens more than we'd like to admit. And no need to physically go to the DMV to complete that transaction now. So get real-time reg and title processing with an intuitive digital interface, a better streamlined back office processing, and help maximize profit opportunity with a user-inspired digital interface. Provide more efficient, accurate, and compliant processing with powerful workflow management tools. So now let's talk about where digital retailing solutions are going to be taking the industry. So during this time, dealerships have kept sales moving online solutions, and now 2/3 of customers say that they're more likely to buy a vehicle 100% online. With consumers preferring online now more than ever, dealerships that have implemented and continue to provide online shopping capabilities will retain a competitive advantage over those who do not. With economic conditions the way that they are, customers are more payment conscious than ever. Even before the pandemic, the 2020 Cox Automotive Car Buyer Journey study found that car buyers are increasingly concerned with the amount of their monthly payment and less worried about the overall price of their vehicle. As Joey mentioned, those that want to buy go new, and those that have to buy are looking at used, right? Ever focused on that monthly payment. And that means it's more important than ever to have the tools to accurately calculate deals, including taxes and fees, for customers no matter where they live. We see this most often when parents are purchasing vehicles for their college-age children. If they're attending college out of state, there may be a very large difference in the overall taxes due on the vehicle. This may be a vehicle that at some point the student will be expected to make monthly payments on in the future. Leveraging a cross-border reg and title solution allows you to seamlessly take your customer from online to your back office, helping to streamline deal completion by assisting with those calculations, guidance, and transaction using information directly from the appropriate DMV to help ensure a couple of things. Accurate tax and fee calculations that are going to enhance the customer experience and support back office productivity. No last minute surprises for your customers. Max profit deal flexibility by using the only cross-border solution with real-time taxes and fees. Intuitive interface with an inline form field explanations guide, and it's going to give those users the information required, ensuring more accurate details for quick deal submission to the DMV. So if your DMV expert that usually sits in-house is off that day or is out for some reason, then they're still able to be the in-house expert using our tool. And customize deals with an electronic checklist providing instructions tailored to each out-of-state customer. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Joey, to wrap everything up for us.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Liz. For those of you that are paying a lot of attention, you can appreciate that we're all still working from home, because you might have just seen my wife and kids take the dog for a walk out the front door there behind me. That's just to show you that this is a true live video. All right, so when I was back in college, one of my public relations teachers used to say the only way to get people to retain what you tell them is to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to wrap things up for you. Every dealership can drive efficiencies in the registration and titling processes using the 3 keys to reimagining the back office that we've talked about today. So what are they? First, getting the most out of your used car inventory and maximizing your cash flow by leveraging a digital trade-in titling solution that provides visibility into title details and speeds that critical process of getting the loan paid off and getting the title released and sent to your dealership so you can retail or wholesale that car effectively. Second, ensuring that your back office is equipped with the registration and titling tools to clear your backlog so you can focus on new sales at your dealership. And third and finally, providing your back office with tools that eliminate the manual process and that seamlessly let you carry deals from your front office with an online shopping experience all the way through to your back office with a digital registration and titling solution. So those are your three key takeaways from the video today.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your partnership and we look forward to the continued success of the automotive industry. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.